Hola, amiguis. Welcome to Listen, Mija, the podcast where three Latinas at different stages of life share real stories, real laughs, and a whole lot of cultura. Whether you're here for chisme, sabiduría, or just a good chat, you've got a seat at our table. Let's get into it. Hey, guys. I am Jenny V.
I'm Janelle.
And I'm Stella, the non-Jenny.
Well, everybody, welcome to our latest episode, episode 2. We're going to be talking about different kinds of relationships. Each of us are in various kinds of relationships, like from what we discussed in the first episode. So let's start off with Jenny.
So I am in a long-term domestic partnership. We are not married, but we have been together for 13 years. We have a blended family. I have a daughter who is 17 and a junior in high school from my first marriage. I am divorced. And then with my partner, we have 2 little ones, a 12-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. So yeah, we've been together for a long time. We have a blended family. There's ups and downs, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
So you're divorced, right?
Yes, ma'am. I divorced when Bella she was little. So I think it's easier to be divorced when they're younger. But also I feel like with that, there's a little bit of like trauma that plays into it that you really don't see until they're older.
Is it really trauma, or is it just like paranoia or like projection?
I think some of it could be projection. I'm working on that with my therapist. She says I have a tendency to project my past traumas from growing up in not a great childhood onto my children because I worry that I don't want to mess them up. But I think that, yes, I don't know. I guess you don't want to call it trauma because I think there's like something about having like 2 different homes. Like some kids might be like, oh, yay, I have 2 birthday parties, I have 2 Christmases. And then some kids are like, oh, I have to do this twice with 2 different groups of people and I don't know how to act. So I wonder if that plays into it, especially now that she's a teenager. And then also there's like the juggle of parenting. Like I feel I am the OG parent, right? I have more experience. But it's important to also let the step parent, have a part of that relationship. That's part of building the relationship and creating boundaries and standards for living and things like that. But I think that could be hard too, especially as they get older. You'll go through the whole phase of, oh, you're not my real father, but you've been together since they were little, and like they have been there just as much as your biological father. So like, there's like a bit of respect that plays into that, but it's hard. There's wheels spinning when it comes to trying to manage a relationship and a blended family, because you have to keep in consideration your children's needs from a different biological parent, your kids' needs from your partner, and how all of that interconnects. And then even other people's lives come into play, like step-parents from the other house.
And interesting parts.
Yes, lots of moving parts. It's interesting. It can be really hard sometimes. I think in the long run, especially when the kids are older, they'll appreciate it. I feel like I'm in the thick of it with a teenager, and they're not quite ready to appreciate that yet. But I think in the long run, my hope is that they will. They'll look back and see that, okay, both my families really loved me, really cared about me. It's a journey. What is it? I'm not here for the short sprints. I'm here for the marathon. And I think co-parenting is the hardest. It's like the absolute hardest part of it. But we could talk about that more later.
We also have another divorcee.
Yeah, me.
In our group. Go ahead, Stella.
Yeah, I wanted to say first the different types of relationships that are out there, like the co-parenting and the long-term partnership as Jenny has. There is open relationships. There is long distance. There's the traditional marriage, the traditional husband-wife. There is a ton of them, right? Like so many we can't think on top of our head, and a lot of them have different names. The one I'm in right now is a long-distance relationship. So I'm in a long-distance relationship with someone younger, and I am divorced as well, and I have 2 kids that are teenagers. So it's a whole different adventure, just like Jenny. I do co-parent. it's kind of a blended family, except I'm in a long distance, so it's not like he's here all the time. But the thing with me is my kids are more recent divorce, so I can see what you're saying about them acting out, like them having issues or two families. Mine are still getting adjusted to the two households, to the two, like holidays, to the two parties, two families. Mine are still getting adjusted to that. And sometimes I do see my daughter acting out sometimes and her complaining about going back and forth to the families. Jenny, do you have that when they complain?
Yeah, because sometimes I think my daughter went through a phase where she's like, I don't want to go to this, or I feel like, they don't care about me as much, and the other kids who are there all the time get the attention. But I think it's also because I think about dealing with that when I was younger, and I think it's more perception. Yeah. And I do think, though, like sometimes they can feel, especially because she's a lot older and some of the kids on their side are very, very young. They're like toddlers. They're like my younger one's age.
Oh, they require different retention, too.
Yes. And then like maybe there might be another cousin who's like maybe closer to Sophia's age. So Bella's a lot older than all of them. So I feel like that's maybe part of the thing that plays into that, is that she's at like a different level, like mentally and age level, and she's just like, I'm at this point, I'm a teenager, I want to disconnect, I want to hang out with my friends, I don't want to be going to these family functions. But it's also like we have this conversation about like, family's important too, where can we find a balance? But yeah, definitely she went through that for the last few years of like, I don't want to go and do this stuff. Right. So I think part of that too is like having her have a conversation with her dad and like figuring out like, okay, well, what are the expectations? And this is why I feel uncomfortable, or this is why I'm frustrated. But I do think a lot of it too is just like teenage angst and perception, right, where they think certain things, but those aren't necessarily actually, really happening.
But to have a conversation with her dad, that requires like a level of maturity that she might not be at yet.
True. Yeah.
It's more like this phase of their life, they just want to experience the things.
Yes. And they just want to do what they want to do.
Necessarily confront it. They just want to.
Yeah. Run away is a big thing. We have that conversation often. Like, you can't just run away from the things. They don't disappear.
I mean, we tried doing that too, don't we? We try running away and doing other things and not facing problems. So I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. But, mine are a little newer to that. So I can see that. I can see the challenges. I can see that. And they're doing really good. I'm like so proud of them. But with my long distance relationship, it's hard because he's not always here. I'm not always there. He's in New Jersey. We have to travel. We actually make a commitment to see each other once a month, like for a whole week. He comes here every other month. I go there every other month. So that is nice. Other people are not as lucky. We totally are, and we racked up the United miles for sure.
That's awesome, though.
With all that airplane stuff, though, I was getting scared. I'm like, should I just drive over there? That was scary.
I'm worried about all this airplane disaster.
I text Stella. I remember texting you guys in the group chat. I was like, please be careful. This is creeping me out.
I know, but I'm at the point where, like, if I go, but you guys know I'll come back and haunt you all. Like, I'll pull your hose at night. It's me.
The last thing I need is Stella haunting me for the rest of my life. Nah, girl.
I just haunt everyone. It's an equal opportunity haunter here. But, yeah, it is a commitment we do that. I mean, he's coming here next week. We're going to St. Patty's Day downtown Chicago. I've never done that, being a person, born and raised here. So I'm really excited to do it.
Experiencing dating all over again, too. Like, that's new, right? Like, trying to date again? Like, that's...
Yeah, that's why I'm Hot Mess Central. Yes, I am a dumpster fire. I am literally everyone, whatever they say don't do, I do. So don't listen to me when it comes to that stuff. But, yeah, I'm dating. It's brand new. I'm like, we've been together for a little bit, but it's still new compared to everyone else. Like, it's so new. Scary world out there. Like, I give props to our strong women. You guys are incredible. And remember your worth, because I'm seeing all those garbage cans out there, a.k.a. called men or wannabe men. So props to you guys. But it is, yes, I'm dating. I'm seeing the world. I'm having a venture. I'm living. This is awesome. But I got to think about the kids a lot. Like, that's the hard part for me. Like, me and my boyfriend have talked about going, like, living over there. But my problem is the kids. I have the kids. Lenny's graduating. Yeah, but my son, Carter, he's still in high school. So that's the challenge, is that, like, what do I do? I don't know. What do we do? In the meantime, I'm just going to have fun and adventure. But, yeah. And Jenny, you have a teenager too, right?
Yeah, so I'm in a long-term domestic partnership as well. I've never been married like Jenny and Stella. I was young-ish, when I was pregnant with my firstborn. I was probably early 20s, 23, and her dad was actually 19 when we found out I was pregnant. So we were basically babies ourselves, like trying to figure out how we were going to move forward with, a pregnancy. Him and I didn't last long. We probably lasted about 3 years maybe. And there was like a very long adjustment period of co-parenting, how to co-parent. We were still like in the middle of a lease too. So like we didn't know how to necessarily divide finances at the time. So, and again, we were babies ourselves. Like we were essentially figuring out how to live on our own for the first time, but with a kid. But, I ended up living alone after him and I separated, and he has been living at home with his parents since then. And I went through a period of just like moving around a lot and a lot of dating as well. But that actually didn't occur until much later. Like I was single for a really long time. I wasn't interested in dating for a really long time. And then at some point I just started going through like a whole phase. I was dating a lot. I was on Tinder. I was on Bumble. And I was just trying
future episode
of that. But yeah, I was basically just kind of like hoeing out and living my best life. I was fortunate enough, though, at the time that, since she was going to her dad, I also had my mom kind of watching her too every once in a while because I worked a lot. And what would end up happening is like she would end up spending nights at my mom's house because I'd had to work or I had to go to school. So that gave me some free time here and there to kind of like experiment, see the world.
Girl, you are a responsible hoe. Okay, that is awesome. I love it.
I mean, I still had a kid to take care of, and I still wanted to be as present as possible, but it was really difficult as a single parent. And co-parenting was a challenge for us because there was just a lot of resentment still, a lot of bitterness between the both of us. So like we still had our own things to work through. But now I have, now she's a teenager. She's about to graduate high school. And I have a 5-year-old now with my current partner. And we've been living together together in general for almost coming up on 8 years. Oh my God. It's still like baby years, right? But it still feels like forever because this is like the longest relationship I've ever been in. And it's just kind of been like an interesting journey now that like I'm in my 40s and trying to navigate like a child on the spectrum and a teenager and a blended family situation. My oldest, her father is about to get married this year too, which has also brought on, it's like him dating has also had brought on like its own challenges like throughout the years. Whereas like, even though I was probably dating, like I never brought it home. We were dealing with some issues where he was dating, but he was bringing it home on the time that, during the time that he would spend with his daughter on the weekends. So that brought on like its own challenges too. So like dating in general has always just kind of had like a weird non-importance. But at the same time, like still needed to linger somehow and affected all the relationships that we've had in this, like since then. So yeah, now my current partner and I, we live together in a house. We have a dog and we share the responsibility of our 5-year-old and attempt to navigate a teenager together. But he's still trying to even like figure out like what his relationship with our teenager is like, which has also been kind of a challenge. So yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys really quick, because I know we're all in different or similar type of relationships. Or like, are your partners older or younger? That's a difference too between our relationships.
Oh yeah, my partner's younger, but not by much, like 3 years.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah. It was probably more noticeable like when I was younger, like with my first, because like I said, he was 19 when we found out I was pregnant. So that made a huge difference.
And how about you, Jenny?
My partner is 9 years older than me, so much different. And yeah, I think about it. But I think mentally, I'm about the same.
We're about the same age.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Stella?
Oh, man. Well, my ex, who I was married to, was older. I realize I'm like just too young personality-wise for someone older or my age. I act like I'm way younger. My partner now, oh my God, brace yourselves. Don't die, everyone. He's 14 years younger than me.
Wow.
So,
wow, girl, difference.
Get it. Yeah, so 14 years younger, long distance, and he's very mature for his age, first of all, and I'm very immature, so I think it like blends out. Like we're almost the same age.
You balance each other in some way.
We do, because I'm so mature and he's not. Like he's very mature. He's the one talking about the future, and I'm like, la la la, let's have a donut. Like it's just so different. But
so he talks about the future, and you don't.
Yeah, I just heard. I got out of a marriage.
Does it feel too soon?
No, it feels perfect. I'm not worried about that. For me, it's more of the kids. Like Lenny is going to college, but Carter is in high school, and I'm going to move out there. Like I do want to have a family with him. Like I do want to do that. I had to do it now, guys. I'm 41. I'm the eldest of our crew here. I want to have kids. I want to have 2 more, but that has to start now. But what about Carter?
Are you worried at all about like any future children you have having a relationship with your older kids?
Oh, no, I'm not worried at all, because I know they're going to have it. I know they're going to be great siblings. I even threatened Lenny. I was like, hey, I'm going to pretend they're your kids. And she's like, don't you dare.
That was something my teenager brought up because, her dad's getting married this summer. So she was talking about like how any kids that they have that they decide to have currently, she's probably not really going to have much of a relationship with them. We've been fortunate that, since she lives with me, she has a relationship with her little sister currently. But even that's kind of challenging, right? Because she's still a teenager. She's still working. She's hanging out with her friends and stuff. So it's not as ideally close as we would want it, it makes sense. And it's a little sad, right?
I think age gap. My kids are the same. My youngest is 2, my oldest is 17, so they have a 15-year age gap. And then the ones who are actually like related from both Dwight and I, they're 10 years apart. But I think, like, at first, Bella was, I don't want another sibling, oh my God. And I think I was more worrying that the attention was going to be taken away, but she absolutely adores him now. I know it seems that age gap can be cumbersome. I think in the long run that the kids seek it out as they get older. I have a blended family. Like, I don't know my biological father, but my brothers, my half-brother, we have the same mom. His dad took care of me since I was really little, so I considered him my father. And he has older kids before us, and then he's got, after us, his wife that he's been with since we were younger. Their oldest is in their 20s, or like mid-20s, and then their youngest is like 20 now. As I've gotten older, like we reach out on Facebook. We're going to plan lunch dates. Nice. Now that they're older, like I want to be a part of their lives, and I think it's important. How can I make the effort? And I think as the girls get older, that's kind of going to be the situation. Like with my kids, they all pretty much live under the same roof.
Right.
So they are around each other constantly, right?
And that'll be a big factor. That's really what's going to kind of help them through.
Yeah. But with like my brother and my other sister, like my other siblings, it's been a matter of how can I, now that I'm like the oldest, make an effort to reach out to them and see how we can build a better relationship, because like I want to be a part of that. Like I think that's important. Like, cool. So I think that might play into that. And especially if like you model that, Stella, for them as they get older, if you do end up deciding to have more children down the line, I think that'll be important, because you're going to create that relationship for you guys where they're going to come visit you, but then they're seeing their siblings. And I think that's important. I think that'll happen. Jenny, I think she's going to want to.
Oh, yeah.
And she'll probably make an effort, because that's just her heart. Like she has that kind of heart that she'll probably make an effort to be a part of them.
Cool that you have that relationship with your half siblings. I don't have that relationship. My dad was previously married multiple times. So he has a lot of kids before he married my mom. Mm-hmm. And my mom had a son in a previous relationship too. So I have lived with my mom's son for the greater portion of my life. So I'm probably closest with him, but like all my dad's kids, they're probably in their late 60s now. Wow. One of them recently passed away, and Like, we probably had, like, a better relationship as I was a kid growing up because we just had, like, a lot of family gatherings, and they also had kids that were my age. So, like, that's kind of the thing that kept us connected. And the one thing I did appreciate about my dad, like, even though there was, like, some discomfort that he was married to, like, a younger woman, but, you know, she's obviously not their mom, like, they had some apprehension about inviting us to family gatherings. But my dad was always very adamant, like, if you invite me, you're inviting the whole family. So it's like, you got me, you got all of us. So we are all going to have a relationship. We're all going to be family. Yeah. Which was cool, right? Like, so we got to, like, hang out with each other, have a lot of family gatherings together. So in some point in our lives, yeah, we were all close. But as my dad got older, like, he's always had a strained relationship with his kids. So we were never, like, as close as we could be. Yeah. And ever since he passed away, it's like there's, like, no contact with them anymore. So the only relationship I really have is with my mom's son, my brother. And we were able to stay connected because we live close, and we also have kids that are, like, the same age. So Eva used to hang out with her cousins all the time. They're about the same age anyway. Also about to graduate high school. God, these kids just keep getting older. But yeah, it's true that there has to still be an effort, and I can tell, like, it really depends on the strength of the relationship or even previous relationships that have built it up to continue it. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see that with our kids as things go forward.
I have a question for both of you guys, because I think this kind of we're touching on it a little bit, like introducing those non-parental people to your kids as you get further into a relationship. I think that's like a difficult situation to manage, and it can be scary, especially if you're just getting out of a relationship. I think about when Dwight and I first started dating, I turned him down a few times because I had a kid, and I was like, I don't know, like, this freaks me out. I don't know when is the appropriate time to introduce my kid. But then at the same time, we kind of moved very fast after that, and then here we are 13 years later. But I think that's like a thing, establishing boundaries, knowing when to introduce your children to this other person, and how that plays into the relationship with them developing as well, because they're not in a relationship with just you. If you're going to be serious about it, it's also your kids are involved.
Well, it did take a while for me to introduce Danny to Eva. And that was mostly on me. That was me mostly trying to protect Eva. Like, just in case, like, this wasn't going to be a serious relationship. I mean, I could tell pretty early on that this was going to be serious, but, like, I really wanted to get that kind of, like, validation from him. I honestly can't even remember if we brought it up. Like, I want to say, like, we had brought it up a couple times, and, like, he was almost offended that I hadn't introduced him yet to Eva. But it still had to be on my terms, right? Yep. Because I still wanted to be comfortable enough in the relationship where we were just going to move forward. It wasn't just going to be like a fling. And also because I wanted to set the example for Eva too. Like, I didn't want to just bring a guy around and, like, gone within a season, you know? Like, I still wanted to have an example for her to see what intentional relationships look like.
She was younger.
Oh yeah, I think she was 10 when we first started dating.
Yeah, they get really attached at that age.
Right, exactly. I mean, at that point, she was, middle school, so I wasn't too worried about, like, her having an attachment. She was kind of, like, in her own world at the time. It was more like I wanted to protect her interpretation of what was happening, but also to protect him, too. Like, what if he got attached to her? That would also worry me, too. Yeah, like, it was just a matter of feeling it out. Like, it had, and eventually it did, but, you know, it gets there.
Yeah.
It gets there eventually.
My kids were a little older, and my boyfriend that I'm with now, we were, like, best friends. Like, we were best friends. We got along so well. So mine was earlier on in the relationship. I introduced them because I was sure. I'm like, this is my best friend. Whatever happens, at least me and him are really close. So I introduced them. We hit it off. The kids actually really like him. My daughter last night, like, texted him, like, why didn't you get my mom International Women's flowers? Like, that's their relationship. Awesome. Like, she will actually text them. They both do. My son would text them, like, she's not wearing her helmet. They have this joke of me wearing a helmet. because I always hit my head everywhere.
Aw, but that's so cool that they have that kind of relationship too.
I know, but they're older. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I just went for it. I jumped in the deep end of the pool like I always do, and I introduced them. But they have that relationship, and then I see 2 flowers delivered last night. I'm like, where the heck did these come from? And Lenny's like, it's from me. It's from him. And I'm like, what? So that's the relationship they have, and I didn't realize that they all text. And my son plays games with him on the phone because again, he's not always here. So they have that relationship. But yeah, for me, I think it was easier because they're older.
Yeah.
They're older and they told me they don't want me alone. They want me to be happy. And yeah.
Oh, that's
so I'm a little lucky. I think it would be harder if they were younger, like what you both had. That would have been more difficult for me.
I think I was more scared of just bringing another male figure in her life.
Yeah.
But we did, and I think our biggest obstacle when that happened was literally me allowing Dwight to co-parent, and then I got pregnant and we had another he's a parent now regardless, but that's still the hardest part too, even over all these years, because now Bella's in high school, right? And it's just, I think he's grown very attached to her. That's her papa, right? And we've been going through your typical teenage angst. So I think navigating that, I was worried at first, then we did, and then we created this we created this family bond, and he absolutely loves her. But it's also that co-parenting bit has been hard because it's I'm mama bear, and I grew up without a proper and responsible male figure in my life. My mom was a single mom, and the men that she did have in her life were often abusive, alcoholics, people who did drugs. So I never understood what a stable male figure was, and that's basically what Dwight is. But because of my internal trauma, it's hard to not see him disciplining, Bella, you can't do this and you're going to lose this privilege as a mean thing, right? The co-parenting part is hard. But I've learned over the years, I have to step back because he is a co-parent. That's her step-parent. And it's important not just to her relationship, but to our relationship to have a united front in terms of raising all of the kids together. But yeah, that was definitely the biggest obstacle, is releasing some of my parenting duties to another person. Over the years, as he's parented more, because we have our other 2 kids, and he's not just dad to our kids, he's dad to all of our kids, and that includes my oldest.
Do you guys see that direct correlation, the past and how we felt introducing our guys? Me, I come from the traditional family, mom and dad married, the 4 kids, me and my siblings. I had, my dad forever till he recently passed, the most amazing dad in the world. So I think maybe that's one of the reasons I was able to jump in and introduce the kids, because I had that belief. I had that parental figure. I had that male figure in my life always. I was really blessed in that sense, but I don't have that trauma where I'm scared. I don't have that. So I was able to just jump in, introduce the kids, and, trust in it entirely because my background's different. Do you guys see that? There's little correlations, direct links.
Absolutely. There's 100% a psychological impact of our past history and the way we grew up and how that influences the way we navigate relationships, partnerships, all of that, or even parenting in the future. So 100%, I absolutely agree. I do know that my trauma from the way I grew up absolutely impacts how I establish relationships, how I trust another partner with my children. All of that absolutely comes into play, but also in therapy. Linda, me and Jenny's therapist.
Our awesome therapist. Shout out to Linda again.
Shameless plug for you. Infinite Butterfly Group. She reminds me that we cannot continue to relive those experiences and project them on our own children. So that's something that I am actively working on so that I don't create that tension between my partner and his ability to parent my older daughter from my past marriage. I also think, though, too, I was like Jenny, I was really young, too, when I had her. I was in college. Stella can vouch. She was one of my teachers back then.
I was.
I was only 22 when I gave birth to Bella, and I got married really young. So I think that also plays into it, too. That, like, okay, I was dumb and young, and all of my decisions leading up to that were not the best and the healthiest. So I'm always, like, backtracking and trying to make sure that I do the right thing now for her and for my kids and as an adult. So I totally agree with you. What about you, Jenny?
I don't know. I definitely can see it with both of you guys, right? I think I just had like a unique situation where like I had the same dad all my life, but he was also like emotionally abusive. I don't necessarily think I carry that kind of like concern like with my kids, like any partner that I would introduce to my kids. It's more like on my end, like what I can control and what I can't control. I probably have some control issues. That's probably really what it is. But I guess my trauma would be slightly different in the sense that I am worried more about me carrying some of the garbage from my dad and how I would project that onto my own kids, less about a partner doing that. And a partner coming in to do it, to co-parent, you know, like there's a lot of like trust issues that I would probably have. But I do trust the fact that, you know, me and Danny both talk about like how we grew up, like how we grew up with emotionally absent parents, and him being like one of many kids, like probably didn't get as much support, you know, as he would have wanted growing up. Same with me, because you know, my dad was very temperamental, very sensitive, very fragile. I usually trust the fact that we don't want our kids to grow up the way we did, whatever that might look like. And it's unique in the sense that, like, when Danny came in to our relationship, like, Eva is a good kid, like, really good kid. Probably surprisingly good. Considering like all of the things that we've probably been through, like just her and I, like her being passed around to different family members, like when I was working and going to school and traveling, like, you know, she's an really well adjusted kid. So I've been super blessed with her. So there's almost like not a whole lot to parent when it comes to her. Just like the typical things of like trying to stay on top of cleaning your room, stay on top of doing your homework. You know, like we've dealt with some challenges here and there, especially through the pandemic, but it really just kind of boils down to how I trust that, you know, neither of us loved our childhood. So we just want to make sure that our kids' childhood is not the same. We like co-parenting with Eva's father has been kind of challenging, like I mentioned earlier, because, you know, he was still really young after we separated. So he was going through his typical 20-something phases after him and I separated. So, like, you know, bringing girls home or never being home, or, you know, not spending quality time with his kid. Since he lives at home, like, Eva mostly spent time with her grandparents. And it definitely got to a point where she was like, I probably don't want to go there as often. I left it up to her, you know, like I didn't pressure her that she had to go over there. You know, I kind of gave her that power to kind of decide whether or not she wanted to go. And for the most part, she really does like to go see her dad, hang out with her dad and his fiance now. But yeah, there was like a lot of challenges in the beginning. And a lot of it was probably me just still dealing with the resentment of just our separation in general. But just the fact that I wasn't super comfortable with like whatever thing he was dealing with, his flavor of the month at the time.
Oh, God.
So, but I really tried to take like an active step back to just kind of let things happen as they needed to. And then I would step in if it affected my kid to the point where I had to like step up for her or defend her or protect her heart, you know, like things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, like co-parenting for me with my ex-husband is it's like we have a good relationship. We get along. Like we live 5 minutes from each other, so the kids are able to commute back and forth. It's pretty straightforward. He has his life. I have mine. We get along. He texts me, you know, updates of the kids. I send him updates as well. It's pretty straightforward. I don't have issues. I don't have a voodoo doll of him laying around with like little pins in it. It's definitely not that type of relationship. I just think I've been really lucky in that sense. I don't like holding on to like hate or pain. Like I just.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, like a lot of these things that I dealt with Eva's dad was early on. There was like a switch that happened where I was like, I don't like being like this anymore. I don't like being bitter and resentful. Like we really got to find a way forward. The bitterness and resentment was a lot that happened in the beginnings. And I feel like we moved forward. Like there was like a switch that happened where we just didn't want to hang on to that anymore. Like we were friends first, and it's like we were able to finally get back to like the friendship that we had in the beginning before we had a kid. It was like night and day, like all of our kind of lives started kind of moving forward in a better direction, including Eva, including my oldest, like everything just started to kind of be more positive. So I'm like super grateful that we have the relationship that we have, and that things can be civil. There were even times where we were all going to the movies together still. Like, doesn't happen as much anymore because I have this little kid, so it's a little bit more challenging to get out of the house. But, we still try to spend time together as a big blended family. And I think that's also really important to establish the fact that we can all get along, that we can all love each other. We're all kind of connected anyway because we love this one kid. Yeah, but it took us a while to get there. So
I think maturity, healing and maturity plays a lot into that too.
And it takes time. It takes time to get there, and that's beautiful. I love that you guys all get together for her. That is just it's just beautiful. It honestly is, and I mean nobody can fight that. A big family is amazing, right? Any size family, it's your family.
Oh yeah.
I also wanted to talk about other types of relationships. We mentioned a few more. There's a few more, right?
Oh, yeah.
Age difference. We have age difference relationships. How are those working now? And also, I did want to make a special shout out to the open relationships. I know I talked to my cousin earlier about that. He mentioned that. And that's something never crossed my mind because I cannot imagine being in that personally. For me, it works for people, but not for me because I know my jealousy. I know it. I know I just couldn't do it.
I'm honestly I have to hype up these people that are able to kind of do that because I don't.
Yeah.
I feel that's a lot to balance.
It is.
It's so much.
Right. And us being in our 40s or close to our 40s, that just sounds like a lot of fucking work.
And my cousin is in his 40s. He's just a few months younger than me. Him and his partner. No, it's just it's him and his boyfriend.
That's the other thing. If you don't have kids, it's probably easier to manage multiple relationships.
Can you imagine having kids? Yeah.
What was that show in the early 2000s? Sister Wives. There you go. That's what it is. That's what it reminds me of.
Wasn't it
Sister Wives.
Love or something love thing? It was something love, the HBO show, right?
Yeah, I think of Sister Wives, and I think of the idea of polyamory, which is having more than one relationship, that you all are in one relationship, but
it's
multiple
not the same
people.
thing, right?
No, it's not the same thing. This is just an open.
Yeah, so open is you're allowed to date outside of your relationship, but then there's polyamory where you are literally in a multiples relationship.
Like a group. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. There could be two guys,
either.
Girl, it could be, it could be however many you want, and oftentimes they're in that relationship together. Dwight has explained this to me. He's a therapist, so he has insight.
Another therapist in the group.
I won't shamelessly plug him because I don't think he'll feel comfortable with that. But we've talked about this, and I was just I always ask him, how does that work? And a lot of it has to do with consent and with all the adults that are involved, and setting boundaries. Boundaries is a huge thing in those types of relationships. You wouldn't think so, but that's a big thing. There's certain boundaries and expectations and rules, so to speak, that they outline when it comes to having that type of relationship. But then I think of Sister Wives too, and what is it, polygamy? But then I feel there's undertone of misogyny in there. It's okay for a man to have 10 wives, but what happens if it's a woman?
Gotcha. Yeah, for real. The double standard always creeps its way back in.
Who wants 10 husbands? Seriously, who has time for that? Who wants to deal with 10 different guys? You can barely deal with one. No. No way. Never. I'm sorry. I'm not that.
Sometimes. I don't.
Exactly.
Well, if you look at it too from a Latino, Hispanic type culture, how does that play into that? The expectations and the roles of relationships within men and women, right? There's a lot of machismo when it comes to the male subset of our culture, but the expectation of the woman is quite different. And if you are seen outside of that mold, what does society deem you as? Are you, we're joking about it, but our hoe days, right? But then what does that mean? Is that sounds empowering to us because of our generation.
Right.
But what does past generations look at that as, right?
A sucia.
Yes, that's the perfect word. That's the perfect word, yes.
Seriously. And I'm actually reading a book right now, or I just finished a book called You Sound Like a White Girl, where they kind of talk about this stuff too, like the traditional like family upbringing and how that affects your outlook on dating in general, right? Actually, it's not. You sound like a white girl. What's this other one? Crying in the bathroom. Crying in the bathroom. And the first chapter is literally the time my vagina broke. She talks about like this.
Wait, that's great.
This thing that she was dealing with her poor vagina for years, and like how culturally our people would just say that we're sucias, right? It's us. It's our fault, not necessarily like a bacteria. Sucias. But anyway, neither here nor there probably. But
who cares? Like, we could just shower. But, like, do vaginas really break? Like, I mean, my body can break. I do not want my vagina ever breaking. Like, that's my portal. That's my goddess there.
As someone who had a baby 2 years ago, I may have to validate that can happen.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, man, I guess I'll see soon. No, it will never break.
Your bones can separate. Your bones can separate, and you may need to go to pelvic floor therapy for an extended amount of time.
Props to pelvic floor therapy, though. I did that too after 2 kids.
Yes,
which I didn't know was a thing for the longest time. So glad I found out after the second kid because it became a problem.
I had to learn because I did break. So yeah, there's that.
See?
Ouch. Oh my God, I'm learning so many new things today.
I think part of it had to do with RA and the fact that my ligaments were less strong than they were supposed to be. So take that with a grain of salt.
I don't know. I'm going to tell my ligaments, you better man up. Or woman up. Actually, even stronger. You better woman up. I ain't breaking.
Would you be in a relationship like that, Stella? Could you manage that?
No. Oh my gosh,
I think she made it very clear.
No, you guys know how crazy I am. Like, no, if he has like multiple wives, I would like magically, like each one would start disappearing. So it's just me. I'm sorry. That's who I am. Like, I am not going to be in a polygamous relationship. And open relationships, like my cousin, I respect it. Like, I know a large part of like, the gay community is in open relationships. Power to you. It's freaking awesome. And he told me the biggest thing about it is mutual respect. Like, just be respectful of each other. Like, this is your partner. Yes, you're having sex with other people, but you come home to each other. You have a life together. But he says one of the bad things is you have to have that respect and not do things with them that you wouldn't do with your partner. Like, for an example, like, in a straight relationship, like, if he's not going down on you, you don't want him going down on other people. Like, he has to be respectful. There should be boundaries. And I'm like, how do you still do that? I can't think of my partner, my boyfriend going down on anyone. I will show up and throw the town will be on fire. This will never happen. Like, no. I think my issue is jealousy, but power to everyone who can do that. Like, I am not judging you. I just can't do it. You'll see my mugshot photo. I will not look as cute as, what's his name, Luigi? I won't look as cute as Luigi, but I will have a mugshot photo if this ever happens.
Okay, devil's advocate. When I'm looking at it from like the polygamy perspective, the community of having other women there to fucking help you raise your kids, dude. I mean, obviously,
that's a mom. I don't know. I mean, that's just a different level of, that's a village right there. But you can do that with friends without having to share a husband, right? Like,
I'll help you guys. Just don't sleep with my man. Come on. That is not cool.
But I mean, that's a dream, right? To kind of live in some sort of like a community where we're helping each other raise each other's kids. That's awesome.
Yeah, we just all buy a house next to each other. We'll buy some land, Stella, Jenny, and we just have a big commune, and everyone is like within walking distance.
Oh my God, we get a barn hoedown.
And their kids, yeah, absolutely. We grow our own food.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
But I get you, Stella. I'm jealous, too, so I don't share either.
Can you imagine that? No. It's like, you ain't going to kiss another girl. Like, I would just, like, pop out of nowhere. I don't care how far you are. I'll fly there and rip someone's hair off. Both, probably. That's
but
me.
I think there is something to learn, though, from, understanding your own boundaries and, and consent, too. Like, because I think, I not that it's lost on us when we start dating again, but it's just the fact that, like, we might not have a full grasp of what it is that we want or don't want as we're getting in and out of these things.
Yep.
And I'll say that, like, while I was dating, like, it was almost like you had to keep an open mind anyway, like, while you're dating, because like, you're swiping on Bumble or Tinder. Like, these people are probably seeing other people, too, and you kind of have to have a level of comfort with dealing with that, too. But yeah, it's like really trying to fully grasp what your boundaries are and are not.
And communicating them too. Like that's the big thing. I think that's one of the harder things that we have, especially when you're in a long-term relationship. It's just like you get into the motion of things and the communication, like it's really important to maintain that communication. And sometimes you don't always do that. You're just like, oh, you know me well enough. My expectation is this. You should know better. But that's not always the case. You have to be explicit in that communication. But then also, I think about the idea of having arguments with more than one person in my life.
Oh, man.
I don't like that. No, that's too much.
Wait, you guys didn't answer. How would you feel being in an open relationship or a polygamous one?
No, I can't. I can't share, and I don't want to argue with more than one person.
Yeah, no. At this point in my life, like it all just sounds like extra work at this point. I don't know.
I want it to be easy, man.
What if you were younger?
Yeah.
What if you were younger? Like, what if you're in your 20s?
Oh, I was way too, unsure of myself. I did not have enough self-confidence. I think you also have to have a level of self-confidence, sureness of yourself and who you are to be in that. I did not have that in my 20s. I was the most self-conscious. Like, Stella, she knew me. Like, I was very smart, but when I look at the deep down part of it, I was like, oh, no. I had, no confidence. I could not do that back then. Like, if I was in a relationship like that back then, it was because I was being manipulated into it. Definitely not of my own decision making. I'd be like, oh, they want me to be in this. Okay, I love them. I'll be in it. Okay. But I'll be a jealous psycho lady as well and completely question myself. Yeah.
That's why I prop to this generation now that, like I said, knows their boundaries. Knows. When I think about back then, what I was like in my 20s, just the naivety of all of it. Like you said, you'd probably, if you were to get involved in something like that, it would probably happen accidentally and mostly because you're interested in one person in this group. And you're like, okay, I'll deal with this, but I don't like it.
Really? I would not have dealt with it. Nope. Dishes, people would have been thrown.
Stella, you've always been spicy, even back then. You take no shit from no one.
And even as your instructor for both of you, if I heard that, I would have shown up there and dishes and people would have been thrown. I'd be like, nope, you guys are better than that. I know, but again, it depends on the person. Like, if you're not for it, you're not. Everyone's relationship is different. Everyone has, we all should feel comfortable and happy in our relationships. And if we're not, we should, examine it, maybe look at something else. But, yeah, definitely not judging. But I wanted to bring that to our attention because my cousin talked about that. He's like, did you think about that? I'm like, oh, gosh, no, because I couldn't do it. But I know he does. And he's very happy and fulfilled. And his partner is amazing. I love him. But that's, everyone's different. And that's right. Amazing. Like I'm dating a much younger guy.
Yeah.
Which other people wouldn't do.
What do you think is the most difficult part of each of your relationships? So, Stella, for you, long distance, what are some difficult things? And then maybe, what are some positive things of being in the type of relationship you are in?
Positive things? You have your own space, guys. If you're mad, you're like, I don't have to see you. I don't have to deal with you. I have my own space. I'm away from you. Nope. You have your own space. That's the positive. The negatives, I am so, sometimes I see couples everywhere, and I'm jealous. I'm like, I wish he was here with me. I get jealous. I get sad. A lot of nights it's just me alone here at the house. But, yeah, you miss your partner more. I think you learn to appreciate them a little bit more. But now long distance, you just miss them. It's just it's different, though, because you have to set up your calendar. You have to have a calendar. This is when we can hang out. Let's meet at this time. You got to have planned dates. You have to have ideas. And, again, we're lucky we can see each other every month. Other couples don't do that, and they do, Zoom dates. We do Zoom dates where we're on the phone with each other watching TV, and that's what we do, a normal couple. We just can't be together physically, but it's awesome. How about you two?
Some of the difficult things, I guess it is really just sharing a space because you forget how much adjustment there is between all the garbage that you have accumulated separately and how you can make it work and blend together. So that way, they can feel comfortable at home and you can feel comfortable at home, especially after myself living alone for so long, yeah, I do miss having my own space. But you get workarounds, right? Dane likes to go work out. His gym is like the second home. I work from home, so like my office is kind of like, my little space to myself too. But I managed to make little areas throughout the house like be special for the sake of, still having pieces of me everywhere. I think just some other challenges are just the communication part of it, right? Like things like that just kind of like fall apart, deconstruct over time because you just get so used to being around each other all the time. Like some things are just unspoken. Other things like probably should communicate a little bit more so that way like we're not like just making assumptions. And you could tell like it does sometimes create a tension in the house regardless. And it happens so unintentionally, but that's because both of us sometimes can't get out of our own way. But like the positive is just like, coming home to each other. Like there's the knowing part that someone is waiting for you at home and someone's going to be happy to see you when you come home. And just like the normalcy of it, like we could sit on the couch, watch our shows, just the comfort of it. That's definitely the positive. What about you, Jenny?
I would say in terms of difficulties, I agree with you, Jenny, with the communication. It's just like you get so used to each other. You have these unsaid expectations, but sometimes it's important to be explicit. And then another thing that I think is difficult when you're in a long-term domestic partnership or even just a marriage in general, if you've been together for a long time, is forgetting to take time for your partner and yourself. So you make such a great point about planning dates and having a set kind of schedule when you're seeing each other. But I feel like when you're in a long-term relationship where you're around each other all the time, you forget that sometimes. It's like you're in the daily throes of parenting and life and work, and then it's all of a sudden like 3 months go by and you're like, we haven't gone out to like even go for a walk together alone.
And something as simple as a walk, right?
Yes, where it's just like you two by yourselves talking. And like I think Dwight and I struggle with that. Just he works a lot. I'm in the throes of having a toddler again and being a mom to a middle schooler and a high schooler. I have this stupid autoimmune disease that makes it hard for me to function lately. So like we go months where it's like, oh my God. And he'll just like one day in the middle of the day, he's like, I have a 3-hour break. I don't have a client till this time. The kids are gone. Let's drop the baby off at my mom's. We're going to go to lunch together. And I'm like, what? He's like, just get dressed. I'm like, I haven't even put makeup on. He's like, you're beautiful. Let's go. I'm like, okay.
But that is such a good point. Like I obviously forgot about that too. Every once in a while, there will be like a spontaneous, like, let's go to lunch. Like nobody's home. The kids are still at school. Like it's funny, like how those little moments do matter. But like Stella, like that's awesome that you guys can like
plan it.
Planning is just like not a thing that happens anymore.
I think this
might on occasion, right?
This is a good reminder for us to do it, though. Jenny. Right. Like for us to remind ourselves to do it. Yes, because it's not just self-care for us to plan time for us to do things by ourselves, especially because, like you said, you miss alone time, too. You don't always get that. But then also to plan time for you and your partner.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And I do think I made it a goal. Like, I made it a goal this year, too, to kind of, like, make time for myself. That was something that's kind of just very lost in the sauce. Like, like I said, Danny and I can sometimes throw in a little spontaneous outing every once in a while. So that helps with functioning every once in a while. But this year I was definitely trying to be more intentional about time for myself because that's been a real challenge because it's like if I'm alone, I'm working.
Yep.
I don't want to do that anymore. So that's why I've been reading so much more. And planning is so crazy. And I know we talked about my Valentine's Day date to go see Justin Timberlake, but we haven't had like a night out like that in forever, right? Like, go enjoy it.
And it was fun.
Yep. And it was fun.
Yep. Yeah. Another plus, aside from like the comfort that you mentioned, Jenny, is the comfort of knowing someone's there, right? But also the stability that comes with having someone who's on your team, right? You have a community. Like, yes, we're our community, but then, like, your partner's part of your community at home. And if you're sick or if, you have an off day, like, how they say, like, you're supposed to balance it 50-50. I don't agree with that. I think some days I'm 20 and Dwight has to be 80, or some days he's, 10 and I have to be 90. So knowing that we have this community at home where we can balance each other out and support one another and create that stability in terms of, like, how our family and our household is functioning, I think that's a huge thing. And I think that's a huge thing for me because I didn't have that stability growing up. And I see it now and I understand, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so important for, like, a healthy environment for your kids to grow up in. And that's also healing for, like, the little, teenage and younger Jenny inside for me. I get to heal every time I'm feeling that stability and that comfort that you mentioned.
I love hearing that. I really do. Like, I'm so jealous because I don't have that because he's over there and I'm over here. We're 1,000 miles away. And a negative thing about long distance also is it gets to your brain sometimes. You get a little jealous. I mean, I'm naturally just jealous. Like, and then I'm like, I'll, like, text him, like, we're not spending enough time. Or I'll be like, I sense you looked at another girl. Like, just something crazy. Just makes you a little crazy sometimes. So you need those days.
But that could also happen in, like, the current situation, too. Like, you just get so used to each other, you don't communicate a whole lot. You can spiral for the dumbest shit, too. Like, something like him liking a photo on Instagram can set you off down a downward spiral, and it can be so irrational and stupid, but you don't, like, say anything, right? Because it's your partner.
You hold it in.
You hold it in. You just stuff it, and you let it simmer. Well, Stella, on the other hand, is obviously a different kind of.
I say it, and then it leads to a fight.
Yeah, she confronts it. No, I'm a stuffer. I stuff it in.
I need to hold it in. Yeah, I need to be Jen.
We need to find a middle ground with that. Yes. It's not good to stuff, but it's not good to explode. So where do we find the middle?
I know. I need to stop
any
exploding.
Of us? Is that you, Jenny? Do you
I'm a stuffer.
Yes, Eve.
Are you you're both suffering and I'm over here exploding? I told you, dumpster fire, right?
But I stuff until, like, it starts to spill over, and then it turns into, like, a fucking volcano. Volcanic eruption.
Yep.
Oh, God.
I know we're working through it. Shout out to Linda.
Thank you, Linda. We appreciate it.
I keep bringing that up because we have so much shit that we have to work through, and I don't even know how she handles us sometimes.
But that's the thing. That's your life. Like, you're gonna go through it together, and you're gonna find your own way. It's not a one size way fix it all for everyone. Everyone's different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what makes it important to understand, too, that people, I think about it when I was younger, too, like, oh, this is the epitome of a perfect relationship, when in reality, and especially nowadays, too, with social media, we see all these things on social media and, like, oh, they look so happy. But the reality is sometimes, like, that is only part of the picture, and you take the good with the bad, and I didn't think about that when I was younger. I always felt like, oh, you have to be happy and you don't argue and everything's, happy-go-lucky, but that's not how a real relationship is. You're making the choice. Yes, and culturally, 100%.
Right, culturally, like, we're just set up to have the family, have the kids, and you deal with whatever bullshit that means you deal with. Like, you don't address it, you don't confront it, you just live with it.
Yeah, and that's not okay. And you have to, like, communicate, and you're making an active decision every day to be in the relationship that you're in, to make it work with the good and the bad. And when there's more bad than good, then you have to actively engage and figure out, like, okay, well, what's the problem and what can we do to resolve it? Like, I don't think that gets said enough. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. And I think a relationship that doesn't ever have, like, hiccups or disagreements or even arguments, then, like, that's not realistic. You have to take the
temporary separation.
Yes, and that's true.
I have seen that before too, like, where I've had friends go through, like, a temporary separation, and even though it looks like they are permanently separated, somehow things work out, discussions are had, therapy is being scheduled, and things work out, and that's okay. Like, I feel like also we're taught that like it's a one and done thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're screwed over once, it's completely over. Whereas like our hearts are not as simple either, too.
No,
like, it's not always just black and white. Like there's so much that you work through that you also like evaluate internally too, so that way like you can come out of it a better person.
Yeah, yeah. And also, too, with our culture, like the idea of like not airing our dirty laundry, right? We're not supposed to talk about those bad things. Like that's probably why we stuff so much, Jenny. We stuff all our feelings in. But I think podcasts like this, I think the fact that we're in therapy, like that makes a huge difference in terms of breaking those like negative cycles from our culture to try and do better so that our girls, our daughters, and our sons and our children in general have an opportunity to learn from us so that they have healthier boundaries in the future when it comes to dealing with relationships too.
Have you seen examples of how we have made vast changes in trying to fix our relationships, right? Have you seen it trickle upwards, like back to your parents?
Yes, I got my mom into therapy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yep, because like she would often use me as her therapy, and I'd be like, Mommy, I can't help you with that. You really needed. And I told her, I was like, I asked Linda, I was like, Linda, I can't give her to you because we talk.
Right. No. Yeah.
But
I couldn't do that either.
I need you to give me another Puerto Rican, Hispanic, someone that I can send my mommy to. And she's like, oh, I got you.
Yeah, too, because your mom's a toughie. Your
mom's my mom's a hard badass. She is a hard ass. But yeah, I got her into therapy. She loves her therapist. She's like, oh my God, I have therapy today, Mija. I'll call you later. I'm like, oh, it's Wednesday. Go let it out. She'll come, I feel so much better. And she's like, yeah, I'm learning a lot.
I wouldn't say that like it's completely trickled upwards to my mom, but like I do think in some sense, because my mom always wants me to she always wants to make sure that I'm okay. It gives her like a sense that I'm heading towards being okay.
Yeah, you're healing.
But like, right, we're all healing, right? But I think her witnessing my healing journey also, in a sense, heals her too.
Yeah.
From the struggles that she had as, a wife in an emotionally abusive relationship, or a wife in a culturally trying relationship with a military man, and what that means, like how that's changed her life's trajectory so much. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of healing that's happened with her too.
That's wonderful. I love that. My mom, no, I wish. She's the hard-headed person in the world. She's exact opposite of me. She has very stern, doesn't laugh, doesn't make jokes, stern. Think like a sergeant in the military, like a commander.
Also my dad.
Like just stern, right? Like that.
So your mom
so
is my
stern. Yeah, I don't see a difference. Like, I mean, I love my mama, but very stern, very complete opposite of myself and my sisters.
He basically thought that was brujeria too. Yeah, he didn't. He was not a fan.
That. Mine doesn't think that. I don't know. Maybe one day she'll be open to it. Maybe, especially with my dad's passing. One day.
I also wonder, though, if it's also because my mom's age. My mom's a little bit younger than your mom. So my mom had me when she was 18. So she's young still. So she's like in her mid-50s. And I feel like the more I expose her to stuff and I share stuff and I kind of inform her, that she's a little bit more malleable. But I also think it's because she's also like, if I think about it, which is kind of weird, she's like the tail. She's not a boomer. She's a tail end of, or the tail beginning of Generation X. She's a Gen Xer. Yeah.
But so that's also kind of revealing too, right? Because I would say Gen Xers of our culture are not as open-minded about it either. And I think the biggest difference is you. Like you are definitely like the thing that's making her change her ways, and so watching you raise your kids and your family too. Yeah, that makes a huge difference, man.
Yeah, it was a big thing too, because I think what turn things around was with my 12-year-old. So similar to Jenny, my daughter is autistic, and I think when we were going through that whole process of trying to get her diagnosed and figuring out what was going on, like, it opened my mom's mind to realize, like, oh, she's not just being a naughty kid who's having a temper tantrum. Like, there's more to this. She's not, like, as you think about it, like, oh, mira los hijos, oh my God, like, you're not raising them right. And she wasn't like that at all. She was like, there's definitely something different. Like, what is this? And the more, like, I shared research with her and I informed her and I talked to her about things like therapy and occupational therapy, then it opened her up to those kinds of things for me to be doing myself, and then for her to do for herself, because she saw the benefit for Sophia. Yeah,
I think that made a huge difference for my mom too. I mean, my kid was diagnosed really early, but my mom was essentially our biggest caregiver at the time, like when Luna was first born. So she got to see a lot of like the differences, in her behavior and how much of a challenge it was. So it's almost like she got to see her grow up and see what it was, but it wasn't something that was necessarily that Luna could control, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So as Luna was going through all these different therapies, it's like she was also unlearning things about child behavior and, milestones and all that.
Yep.
So it kind of opened her mind a lot more to just what's out there in general, right? And just what support looks like, and how support for someone like Luna would change as they grow up. So, yeah, that's.
And how old is your mom?
Luna is 5 years old. She's in Canada.
No, your mom.
Oh, my mom. My mom is 71.
Okay, like our moms are a little older, yeah.
Yeah, but it's been cool. Like, even to watch the transition of my mom after such a long marriage, like a hard marriage with my dad. And when my dad got sick, and how she was still very much a caregiver for him too. But how it changed, like, as that evolved, as my dad got older, like how she evolved. And that's kind of been like a really cool thing to witness too. So as I've mentioned, like as I've been going through my healing journey, I think it's kind of completing it for her, kind of making it come full circle for her. Yeah. My dad's passing, and like that's kind of freed her up to spend time with herself, with her friends, take care of herself and her body, like really changed a lot.
Yeah. See, you talk about caregivers too, and then I think about my mom. She wasn't really a caregiver for anyone, but that made her incredibly hyper vigilant and hyper independent, so she had difficulty ever asking for help. And I think that's something I learned, and then over the years with therapy, is being able to learn to ask for help, and that it's okay to ask for help has been a huge aspect of that.
Yeah. How much I'm learning too. Yeah, no, that's super revealing.
And I'm learning from you guys, because remember, my therapist just dropped me, so yay.
Linda, we're going to have her call you.
I know you keep saying that. I'm serious. No, I really like this conversation and our different types of relationships, and just seeing a little bit more, and like just everyone healing together, and just, our everyday lives, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's probably going to be the overall theme of all of these episodes, is just the way we're healing because of where we're at in life.
Yep, and then we hope you all can heal with us. That's like the idea, to know that you're not alone in this crazy world, and know that you are capable of change and adjusting and growing and healing and evolution. I think that's really important. I think we often forget that we're not in this all by ourselves.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And I hope they all heal with you, not with me, because my type of healing is like rage room. Like, let's break stuff, let's slash tires, guys. Don't heal with me unless you're full of rage like me. I don't know why.
I'm down for a rage room visit.
Yeah, same.
Let's do it.
I think we could all use, in this economy, a good rage. So.
Oh, gosh. That's a whole different topic. We'll talk about another time.
You got to hear a lot about the relationships that we're currently in, how that's evolved, how that's made us into who we are. Next week, we are going to have a conversation about self-love, relationships with ourselves, the importance of having a relationship with ourselves. what that means for us culturally, what has been the stigma for us culturally to actually put ourselves first. How does that impact our experiences here in America? It's almost looking at as if we're self-serving, but really we're just trying to make ourselves into better women, better people. So tune in next week so that way you could hear what we've got to say about taking care of ourselves. And that's all the chisme for now on Listen Mija. We're so glad you joined us for the stories, the laughs, and all the real talk in between. No matter where life takes you, you'll always have a seat at our table. If you love this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us keep the conversation going and reach more of our comunidad. Until next time, cuídense, stay connected, and we can't wait to catch up again soon. Nos vemos. Bye.
Bye.